social movements. His writing on the Black political thoughts and religion can be found in the Journal of Religious Thoughts, and his current writing project is comprised of the collection of his essays and lectures on race, gender, education, power within the context of Black American culture. As a passionate advocate for education and social culture enlightenment, Dr. Howard currently serves as a counselor educator in the Montgomery County Public School System in Silver Spring, Maryland, as well as an adjunct professor in the Sociology Department at Prince George Community College in Largo, Maryland. It is his 6th year of service. His nonprofit organization, Conscious Thoughts Incorporated, provides thought-provoking academic and cultural experiences for underserved young males. Howard believes that to address the problems of men, the solution must come from men. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all Dr. Howard, Dr. Darrell C. Howard.
Morning. When I say Dr. Howard, you say going in. Dr. Howard.
Going in.
Dr. Howard's.
Going in.
Dr. Howard is
Going in.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a pleasure to be here before you. It's a pleasure to be here before you this morning. I would like to begin by thanking a few folks. Is there an echo going on? I'd like to begin by thanking a few folks. Number one, I'd like to thank the committee. I know Ms. Thompson and Ms. McCoy and many other presenters were thanked over the course of the weekend. But one person I don't think that we acknowledged was Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, can you say that, please? Okay. The purpose of me being here is to summarize and to conclude what this experience has been for you. The objective is to summarize or conclude what this experience has been here for you. Okay? I think I may have been selected because I have a number of different experiences that make it useful or constructive for me to be the one to close out for you. I work in the public school system, I work on the collegiate level, and I also work in the community as well. So I'd like to thank you, the students, for this opportunity. The reason being is because yesterday when I tried to sit back in some of the workshops and not be noticed and just observe the energy that was going on in the workshops and seeing students attentive, taking notes, well-dressed, appearing to the conferences, to the workshops on time or even before the workshop started. Awesome, awesome. Thank you for refreshing me. Thank you for refreshing me. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I speak to students all the time who I have to fight to educate them. I have to literally fight them to educate them. So I thank you for taking this seriously. I really do. Give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, I'm going to try and run this like a classroom. That's the most comfortable environment for me. So I'm not going to stand at the podium. I'm going to kind of walk around and just kind of be free a little bit with this. So I hope you all don't mind. This is, when I'm in the classroom, that's my playground. It's just a playground of ideas. So I hope you all don't mind that. Let's begin. And today, I'm going to be working with some new technology. So if I have any glitches, I'm not the master of technology. So if we have any little glitches, please excuse those. Okay? Your speaker, me. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Dub C is in the house. I'm a Golden Ram, Westchester University, one of the best experiences that I've ever had. That is where I learned and established my foundation in sociology. That was my birthplace. That was my first sense of consciousness. Was at Westchester University. KSI. This is part of my identity as well. My lectures, my presentations are always about thoughts. It's always about identity. It's about your core self. So this is part of my identity. UMES. Not sure how many of you are familiar with University of Maryland Eastern Shore. This is where I'm a graduate. This is where I did my graduate work. I was a graduate assistant there, so I was in charge of a residence hall. And college students are not the best people that you want to supervise. You're not the best people that you want to supervise. I mean, I had some stories and experiences that will blow your mind. But I had to take the opportunity. It was free. Had my master's degree after 2 years. Also, need to mention, it's an HBCU, okay, which was an important new experience for me. What's this symbolize? A number of different things. A number of different things. Everybody may have a different impression of what it means. The red, the black, the green says something. The fist says something. A number of different meanings can come from this. For me, it's something about African American or Black American heritage. It's about the resistance and the resistance to oppression and the desire to receive equality in American society. Okay? And this is one of my callings, one of my passions. With that being the case, I went to Howard University and studied, earned my PhD in Africana Studies. Went to South Africa several times to do research, met with some wonderful people there. How many people are from the continent of Africa? Anybody? Okay, good, awesome. When I was there, I learned a lot about who I was. And I tried to put that in perspective to who I am as a Black American as well. So it was an awesome experience for me to learn about social and political protests. Prince George's Community College, this is where I teach sociology. Sociology of minorities, social problems, any class that teaches you about how the institutions and human beings work together. This is what it's all about. Okay, I love sociology, it's my passion. Conscious Thoughts Initiative. This is my nonprofit organization. This is built on the understanding that 68% of Black children grow up in single-parent households. 68%. Single parenthood is the new norm. Single parenthood is the new norm. How many of you oftentimes expect to not even have if you know somebody who has just had a child, is the expectation that they're married? Oftentimes it's not. That's sad. That's incredibly sad. Okay? And what drives me is the idea that Black males who don't have father figures, they're going to emulate somebody. They're going to find role models. So whether it's a gangster, whether it's hip-hop performers, whatever it may be, they're going to emulate somebody. So with the Conscious Thoughts Initiative, we provide experiences that give them educational and cultural enlightenment. Okay? So we do everything from college and career development. We do workshops like these. Now these workshops aren't like this, meaning this formal and elegant and nice and classy. I'm talking about going to a school for a day, going through a number of workshops, eating some pizza for lunch, nobody's dressed up, all of that type of stuff. I don't have a budget like this. But the experiences are the same. The learning is still taking place. Okay? So from changing a car tire, jump starting a car, tying a tie, learning how to eat with the proper utensils, and I fouled that up last night. I need to sit in on one lesson. But we do those types of things because we want them to have those cultural experiences. Philadelphia Eagles, in my spare time, big sports fan. man. Martial arts. Martial arts. As a youngster and throughout my life, I've always been involved with martial arts. The ideas of discipline, of power, of understanding your opponent, meditation, etc. All very important. Hip-hop. How many of you are fans of hip-hop? I'm shocked by that. I'm shocked by that. Big fan of hip-hop. When I talk about hip-hop, I'm talking about real hip-hop. I'm talking about 90s hip-hop. I'm talking about 90s hip-hop. I'm talking about 90s hip-hop. So as a young person, it informed a lot about a lot of what I do and how I feel and how I express myself and so on. So hip hop is very important to me. What's that? Jesus Peace. JC, the man. Give JC a hand. The story, the practices, the principles, what Jesus Christ stood for is important to me. Some of us may not be interested in Christianity, some of us may not be interested in any type of organized religion, but there are certain things that we can follow and that we can gain some insight from. JC is one of those people for us. Okay? Now in terms of family. What this picture symbolizes is not only my present and my future, but also my past. Because the picture is taken inside my house, and with that I think about my parents who raised me inside of a stable home, said get an education, try and do good things with your life. The same things I have to do for them. You notice anything unique about the picture? 3 girls, exactly, 3 girls. How many of you have or live in a household with all girls? If you're a girl and you have only sisters, raise your hand. Okay. God bless your dad. God bless you. He's a good man. He's a good man. I am the devout feminist. As of the birth of my last child, it's just the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to have 3 girls. I'm supposed to be able to understand women differently, and I do. Prior to me having my first daughter, my understanding of women the change has been unexplained, okay? So, that's just a little bit about me. Winning. That seems to be the new theme of the conference. It started out as overcoming obstacles, but it seems that winning is the new theme of the conference. And what brought this to my mind was I saw a Facebook post from my sister last night. It said, "Happy 95th birthday, Clarence Stinson." And Clarence Stinson is my grandfather. Okay? And I'm like, at the end of the post, she put winning. Happy 95th birthday, Clarence Stinson, winning. I'm like, winning? My grandfather has to wear a diaper. This diaper has to be changed by his children. My grandfather, because of his limited ability to get around, is stuck in the house for days at a time. I'm like, winning? Are you serious? But when I really thought about it, and thought about who my grandfather is, and the fact that this is a man who is World War II vet. This man has been married over 60 years. Him and his wife are still together. Any of you married in here? 60 years is a big deal, right? All right, we're married 10 years. It's a big deal, it's major. Okay. This man was a Golden Gloves champion. This man is a 33rd degree Mason. This man has done some wonderful things in his life. This man has won. He's still winning. He's still functioning. When I walk in the house, he still knows who I am. How are things down in D.C.? How's your studies? How's your program? Awesome. He is winning. He is winning, but I only focused on the negative aspect. I didn't focus on all the things that he's done and the things that he still can do. So we have to kind of sometimes reframe what winning is. Oftentimes we think of winning as the one who gets to the finish line first, or whoever scores the most points against an opponent. That's not what that is, but it's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about being successful and racing against yourself. That's what I'm talking about, winning. Racing against yourself. You're your own opponent. You're your own opponent. So when we ask ourselves, do we want leadership? Do we want success? We have to think about what it is we really, really want. And success is going to lead to leadership. Success is going to lead to money. Success is going to lead to a good job. Success is going to lead to stability. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So when we take a set of finely integrated human experiences and put them all together, that's when we have success. So as all of this relates to college students, college kids should be what? Why are you here? You're here to learn. You're here to be educated. You're here to grow. Okay? How many of you have parents that pray for you every day? Even when you get on the phone, they pray for you and say, oh, I pray that my baby does good in school. I hope she's passing the test. I mean, you may even call your parents on tests, the day before test, and they pray for you. Because you're their hope. You're their hope. They want you to be successful. Okay? So, as we think about how many parents are financially struggling so that you're here. Give your parents a round of applause. In their absence, give them a round of applause. They want you to have knowledge of the universe. That's what the university experience is all about, knowledge of the universe, as well as some leadership skills. They want you to be able to come back to your neighborhood and be able to do something or know something that non-college graduates don't know. Does that make sense? Let me say that again. They want you to be able to come back to the community or your neighborhood and know something or be able to do something that people who didn't go to college can't do. Otherwise, you wasted your time. You wasted your time. So if you were here just for the parties, and from what I saw last night, y'all get it in. You all get it in pretty good. But if that's the only reason you're here, non-college kids can do that. Non-college kids can do that. So what are you doing differently? How are you coming back differently to your community? All right, so I'm going to give you some things that are probably, a majority of these things are probably a review of some things that you touched on in the workshops yesterday. But I want to introduce you to a couple of things that may enhance what you learned yesterday. Seizing opportunities. Seizing opportunities. You have to take advantage of opportunities. Let me give you an example. I need 4 people. 2 males, 2 females. 1, 2, 3. Need another male. Right here. Come on up. Come on up. Actually, we want to come over here. Okay, what I want you all to do in one sentence, tell us what you've experienced here this weekend. Tell us the best thing you've experienced here this weekend.
How you doing?
One sentence. One sentence. One sentence.
My experience here was the ability to learn and gain the skills which are intrinsic and extrinsic to exemplify being a leader.
Thank you. And I'm going to give the young man a little something. Next.
What I learned here was to challenge myself and to educate others on my campus and to be a lot more responsible.
Okay. Challenging others. Very good.
what I learned at this conference was how my difficulties are going to create me into a better leader and person that I will become in the future.
Okay. Awesome. Very good. Next.
I learned to make sure that I inspire others behind me and keep the fight going.
Keep the fight going. Awesome. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay. Actually, if you don't mind sharing what you received. And let's start with you since you went first. So what did you receive?
I received the brochure on the conscious thoughts in Mississippi.
Okay, so by seizing an opportunity, what he did was made a connection. Okay? He took advantage of an opportunity, he made a connection. Very good. Thank you. You can have a seat, sir. I appreciate it.
I received a piece of paper that says, thank you on it.
Very good. Oftentimes when you seize opportunities, you get a simple thank you. Very simple. That's appropriate.
I received $1.
You receive $1.
I know that's
Awesome.
right.
When seizing opportunities, sometimes you'll get paid for them.
D-Howz cheap.
No. Unless you want to make a donation to the nonprofit. But sometimes when you seize opportunities, you'll get paid for it. Lastly.
He received.
My envelope was empty, but it seems like it's personal experience.
Sometimes
You don't get nothing.
Sometimes you get nothing. You seize opportunities.
That's the cheapest thing I've ever seen.
All right, but it doesn't matter. You still have to do it for the experience. You still have to do it for the possibility of learning something, of connecting with someone, of making a payday, whatever it may be. You have to explore the possibility. You have to do it. You have to take the risk that you may not receive anything. All right, so we have to be able to seize opportunities. The ABCs of success. Let me tell you what they are. A, attitude. Say it with me. Attitude. Attitude. B, behavior. All right. So when we're talking about leadership, we're talking about what one feels when you walk into the room. Do they get that feeling that this person has it? Yesterday when I was in some of the workshops, I saw the students. Many of you have it. Many of you are developing it. I'm very happy with what I saw yesterday. Many of you have it. So, as we talk about the ABCs of success, we need to talk about a couple of different things. And I'm not sure if any of this was covered in your workshops yesterday, but we'll cover it today. Communication. Communication. Nonverbal communication. Two-way communication. Listening. Questioning. Self-talk. Feedback. Persuasive skills, etc. All of that matters. Communication. How many of you are going into sales? How many of you going into sales? One. No. Everybody in this room is going into sales. Everything you do, you have to sell. You have to sell it with your voice, or you have to sell it in a written capacity. Everybody in this room is going into sales. Who's smarter, George Bush or Barack Obama? If you had to go into a war, and it had to be explained to you, which way do you think you would receive it best? If he explained it or if George Bush explained it? It's about the way you send the message. People don't say your idea is better than mine. It's about the presentation of the idea that matters. Communication is very important. The ability to persuade, the ability to sell your idea. Listening. There are different types of listening. There's active listening. There's passive listening. There's listening for empathy. So we have to be knowledgeable and aware of these different types of things if we're going to be a leader. Okay? Written communication. In the age of technology, a lot of times we want to send a text, we want to send an email. When you communicate, you're trying to transmit reason and logic. You're trying to transmit reason and logic. You can do that easily when you write, but you don't have the aspect of human emotion as if you're speaking to them one-on-one. Okay? So, as you're in your leadership groups, as you're in your organizations, think about how messages are being received, whether they're positively or negatively received. Are certain things better done privately or better done in a public setting? Are certain things done better orally or in a written capacity? Okay? So we have to understand these things. And I could do a whole lecture on communication, but we're not. When you see these images, what do you think of? What word comes to mind when you think of these 5 individuals? How many of you know all 5 of these individuals? Tell me who they are. You know? Spike Lee, yes. Allen Iverson. Sojourner Truth. Harriet Tubman. John Lewis. John Lewis. Absolutely. Why did I put these 5 images up here? Leaders, but what's special about their leadership? In what way? Some people may not see Allen Iverson as a leader. I don't want to give him a blanket leadership tag. They're empowering. I don't know. Some people see Allen Iverson is kind of the one that's going to throw all of your answers off because he's not. I don't know if he's really empowering in terms of the whole team concept and so on. So maybe I would argue that one. Excuse me. History? Not necessarily. Let me go into it. Courage. 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 Sojourner Truth. Oh, thank you. Harriet Tubman. How many times do you think you could walk from Maryland up into parts of Canada oftentimes? From Maryland up into parts of Canada. By foot, on the back of buggies, through different checkpoints. 19 times she did this. 19 times. She didn't have a Volkswagen.
She got that shit.
She didn't have a Hummer. She didn't have a smart car. On foot. On foot. And why did she do it? She did it to free slaves. And she said she would have freed more than the 300 she did free if they knew they were slaves. But they were resistant to being free. Courage. John Lewis. If you know anything about John Lewis is one of the, I would say, less recognized figures of the civil rights movement. We always think of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and so on. But John Lewis, I had the pleasure of interviewing John Lewis for my dissertation. And John Lewis was one of the youngest presidents of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Okay, with that organization, they had to follow that philosophy of nonviolence. How many of you could be nonviolent? Not too many. Okay. When you think about one who jumped on a bus for interstate to break down the barriers of interstate travel and had bombs and bottles filled with gasoline thrown into the bus while you're on the bus. And they held the door shut. And when they let the people off, getting hit with billy clubs and bats and so on, and you still remain nonviolent, that's courage. That's courage. All right? Courage of your convictions. Allen Iverson, AI, the answer. We all have different answers. Different nicknames for him. Why is he courageous? Why is he courageous? Does anybody think he's courageous? It's kind of mine. Allen Illy is definitely courageous. 6 foot, 160 pounds. He was most courageous during the 2001 championship when they played the Los Angeles Lakers. Does anybody remember that? It was Shaq and Kobe, pretty much against Iverson. And Iverson's a small guy, but you've never questioned what? You've never questioned his heart. You've never questioned his heart. And that's what's wonderful about it. I remember they won the first game. He was in the corner, hit the three-pointer, and Tyronn Lue, anybody familiar with Tyronn Lue? He was with the lady, and he stepped over Tyronn Lue like, what? What? That's what I'm talking about when I talk about courage. The ability to defy odds. That tenacious attitude for what you think you should be doing. That's what courage is about. Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a woman? Challenged all types of feminist notions, black feminist notions, of what a woman should be, of what a black woman should be. I've borne 13 children, many of them sold off into slavery. I can eat as much as a man and I can take the lash just as well. And ain't I a woman? So the whole idea that I should be treated delicately, but at the same time, I'm just as strong as a man. The courage to be able to stand up in front of individuals during that era and speak with broken language. She had broken language, very much so, but to articulate those types of thoughts took courage. All right? Spike Lee. Spike Lee. See, you all, because you're a little bit younger, you may not recognize Spike Lee as groundbreaking. You may not respect Spike Lee as groundbreaking. I'm talking about Do the Right Thing. I'm talking about Malcolm X. I'm talking about When the Levees Broke. I'm talking about all the different types of films, Jungle Fever. All those societal ideas and constructs that he was trying to examine and help us to examine through film. Because if you asked us to read about it, we may not want to read about it, but we would watch it on film. And he did that. He did that. So what I'm talking about when I talk about courage and leadership, I'm talking about defying odds. I'm talking about being tenacious. I'm talking about having conviction. Conviction for what is important to you. All right? Close your eyes. Everybody, close your eyes. And when you hear this, tell me what you think. There you go, Wusa. You guys, please. Rock your head. You know you want to. I love that song. And I usually don't like a lot of the new guys. And you see I played the clean version. You can see it right there, it says clean. I want you all to know that. But I usually don't like a lot of new hip hop. But when you talk about hustling hard, what are we talking about? As a leader, as being successful, what are we talking about when we talk about hustling hard? Please nobody say drugs. Please.
I think like look, like Mom in the House, they was like he said, hustle. He didn't even test with determined. And he knew he had to do it. So
You're talking about the determination to do something. You're talking about the determination. Were you gonna say something else? Perseverance, absolutely. Anything else? Hard work starts with the M, the word I'm looking for. Motivation. Motivation. How many of you walk into a classroom at your university and say, I'm going to be the best student in this class. I want to be the absolute best student in this class. This professor is going to remember me for being a standout. That's how you have to approach your education. That's how you have to approach all the tasks that you are doing with your organizations and etc. Please understand that. Every day you have to hustle hard. Every day. Motivation is driven by what though? Because if you ask me around private school, public school kids, it's the most difficult thing to motivate them to do something. But what explains motivation? What drives motivation? What pushes it? Yes, sir. Need. Need could be it. Absolutely. Desire. Purpose.
Ambition.
Family. Yes. Fulfillment. Persistence. Okay, a lot of good answers. Motivation is driven by this. Motivation is driven by power, need for affiliation, or need for achievement. Okay? So, if we want some type of power, if we want to get paid, if we want to feel good about ourselves, if we want some type of acknowledgement and pat on the back, and stand on the stage and receive awards, we're going to hustle hard. We're going to hustle hard. All right? Another aspect of motivation, equity. Equity. When we don't feel we're being treated equally. When you feel that a woman gets paid less than a man. When you feel that as a person of color, you're not being treated fairly. You're going to do things to respond to that. You're going to be motivated by that. We all want to be treated equally, so equity is a big thing. Lastly, the last thing that pushes motivation, expectations. Expectations. How many of you have ever hidden your college report card from your parents? Your college grades? I used to do it. Before I went to Westchester, I went to IUP. Did not do well there. Parents never saw my grades. Never saw my grades. The expectation was that you're supposed to be successful. Okay? That was an expectation in my household. When I transferred, I learned that very quickly. Okay? So the expectation, somebody's expecting us to do better than what we are doing right now. That's what drives motivation. All right. I did participate in a workshop yesterday that had to do with Twitter, Facebook, social networking, texting, etc. When I think about these things, when I think about this phone that I'm using right now, this is not a game to me. This is not an extension of me. This is merely a tool. Okay? And I am using it to assist me as I do work. It's a tool. This is not an extension of me. Okay? And what we have to learn how to do is to not use social media for pleasure, for all the things that don't advance what we say we stand for. Okay? We have to use them as tools. All right? So, when I think about Twitter and I think about Facebook, I think about all of us that say, I can't do something because I don't have resources. I don't have the right clothing. I'm a college kid, I'm broke. You do have resources. You do have resources. And if you don't have them, you need to do what? You need to be resourceful. There's a difference between having resources and being resourceful. Okay? How many of you paid for this conference? How many of you paid money to be in this conference, to attend this conference? How many of you even know how much the conference costs?
$250. $250.
So what you all are telling me, I think maybe one person raised their hand and said they paid. So what you all are telling me is that you had free transportation, you had free hotel stay for a weekend, you had free meals, you had free education and enrichment, and you paid nothing? Why you? Why'd you get that? Why'd you get that? Because you were resourceful. Either somebody saw something in you, or you knew the right person to touch base with to say, I think I like to try that. I think I like to take advantage of that opportunity. It's about using our resources. Resources come from humans, not always tools. Okay? We have to maintain the human connection at all times. This can't get me to the conference for free, but an advisor can. Okay? Keep that in mind as we think about resources. Perfect example of establishing resources. Doing networking 101. This is networking 101. Pull your phone out. Everybody pull your phone out.
It's all video.
Go to your Facebook app. Go to your Facebook app.
Some people gotta have smartphone technology for that, brother. You know, some people they not there.
I'm sure at least half of them do, so we can't act like they don't.
You're better off with Twitter.
I want you to friend me right now. I want you to, your college may need a speaker. My conferences may need a speaker. I would love to have college-age kids. You all, the students I saw yesterday, answering questions, giving ideas, well dressed, not with your pants hanging down, not with the tattoos on. I mean, encouraging, refreshing. Thank you again for giving me that. Thank you again for giving me that. Let's stay in contact, networking one-on-one. Friend me, we can move forward. We can do some things together. We can do some things together. Please. All right, moving on. We can't use any of these tools, any of these skills, any of these traits and attributes of courage and confidence and drive, motivation, and being resourceful without having a cause. Without having a cause. What is our cause? What is deep down in your soul? What do you desire to change about the world? Why are you here? Are you here only because you get a degree? You want a credential? Credentialism is incredibly important in America, but is that the only reason you're here? I have to get a degree. I have to get a degree. I have to get a good paying job. I have to get a good paying job. All of these things are important, but what is deep down in your core, in your soul, that says, I want to solve or provide a solution to cancer. I want to change the way education is in public school settings. I want to build a bridge that spans 200 miles long. Whatever your deepest aspirations are about your contributions to society is greater than that. Potential is greater than money. So what I want you to focus on, and I think this little clip will show you some sense of how to get down to that, that inner self, why you are doing what you're doing. Okay, the reason why you're here, the true reason why you're here. It's about 3 minutes long.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet, they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight? The Wright brothers beat them to it. There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way. And it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one.
Do we understand what we're being communicated there? The fact of the matter is, many of us are in organizations. I heard a number of Zetas and SG Rose and Kappas and other fraternities and sororities in the room. How many of you are president, secretary, treasurer of some type of club or organization at your school? Awesome. Why? Why? Are we doing it just for our resume? Or are we doing it because it suits some need deep down within us to accomplish a goal that's deep down within us? Think about the what, the how, most importantly, the why. We can't exclude the why of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. Obstacles. We've talked about obstacles on and off all weekend. Obstacles. Everybody knows that you may not like your roommate. Everybody knows that you may not get the financial aid that you expect to receive. Those are obstacles. Everybody knows that when you go back to your community, when you go back to your neighborhood, how many of you still have the same relationships with your homeboys and your homegirls that you did before you went to school? Relationships change. Relationships change. When you go back to your communities, there's the sense that you're supposed to be able to do something that they can't do. Sometimes there's intimidation as a result of that. There's resentment as a result of that. Relationships change. That could be an obstacle. Don't be afraid to be the talented 10. Anybody familiar with W.E.B. Du Bois? The idea of the talented 10. That there will be a group of leaders that emerge and lead the others away from all of those things that they should not be involved in, the things that take the race in a different direction. Don't be afraid to be the talented 10. Don't be afraid of that. Embrace that. When we think about obstacles, I really want to confront you with some real life issues. Car accident. Surprise pregnancy. Death of a loved one, a parent, relative, brother or sister. Those are real obstacles. And how do we deal with those? How do we deal with those and still manage to come back to our core, come back to our core self? So if we don't know how to overcome obstacles, we end up losing. Okay? My psychology majors, how many of you are familiar with this? I told you all this is a semi-lecture environment. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Absolutely. The idea behind this theory is that if one of these levels is unmet or unfulfilled, you won't be able to make it to the highest level. You won't be able to make it to the highest level. Self-actualization. We've been calling it success. We've been calling it finding the things that we want to do, making it happen. We call it success. But we don't have sleep, we don't have security of our body, we don't have employment, some of these basic needs, we don't feel we're going to get there. So you have to be able to adjust, understanding that obstacles are going to come. Not everything on the scale is going to be met. And not that I completely agree with this scale, but I think it does have some usefulness for what we're speaking of. Okay? So in dealing with those obstacles that come in our lives, reflection and recalibration. Reflection and recalibration. What might that mean? As I mentioned earlier, you all refreshed me, you all recalibrated me to go back out and do the things that I'm supposed to do. You encouraged me. If you drop your phone, what do you do? But what else do you do? If it seems to act funny, what might you do? Try and reset it, take it to Apple. What else might you do? Just turn it off and on. You try and recalibrate it. If your computer freezes, what do? You turn it off, you unplug it, what have you. You shake your phone, all different types of things. You're trying to recalibrate. That's what we have to do with obstacles. We have to learn to recalibrate. It's that simple. Steve Jobs, just talked about it, the founder of Apple. You think he didn't recalibrate after he found out that he had pancreatic cancer? You don't think that that changed the way he did things? Oprah Winfrey. How many of us sat in front of the TV and cried when Oprah Winfrey said, "This is my last show"? Well, maybe your mother or your aunt or somebody cried. You might not have cried. But 25 years in the business, she chose to recalibrate on her own. Not that something was lacking or she ran into an obstacle. The only obstacle was that she had finished running that particular race. She felt she had already won that race. It was time for a new endeavor. She recalibrated. As simple as that. Reflecting, recalibrating. Beyonce knows. How will her life change after she has a baby? Will it? Maybe, maybe not. She's going to have to recalibrate in some way, shape, or form. For sure. Okay? Keep that in mind. Tiger Woods. Has Tiger Woods recalibrated from his issues in his marriage? Not fully. Not in terms of performing on the golf course. No, he hasn't made it there yet. Okay? So, when we're talking about recalibration, we're talking about being able to overcome an obstacle and get back to our core self. As a review, the theme of the conference, overcoming obstacles. Overcoming obstacles, what does that mean? It means seizing opportunities. We talk about that. We're talking about developing skills. Talk about developing skills, communication, organization, business skills, people skills, all those different types of things. Reflecting and recalibrating. Most importantly, finding your core identity. And this is a process that will continue to happen throughout your life. If you haven't had any major obstacles in your life, just keep on living. Keep on living. They're coming. Not wishing you bad luck, just telling you. It's called life. You have to be prepared to recalibrate. Know your strengths, your weaknesses, know your core, recalibrate. Simple as that. When that's done, that's what success is. That's what winning is. Okay? So as I mentioned, this workshop has been more about winning opposed to overcoming obstacles. fact, I think that's become the theme. So what I want to do is a little bit of karaoke. All right? Karaoke.
Better get the hell out of here.
All right, on the count of three. When I say money, you say success. Money.
Success.
Money.
Success.
Money.
Success.
All right, so when you hear money again, the word is success. Come on, sing it. Karaoke time. I'm not a big person, but this is success, folks. This is winning. You have the tools, you have the passion. I see it. You have it. So let's go back to our college campuses. Let's win, folks.
That's what they meant to see.
Thank you.
Every team.
Keep it going for Dr. Clark, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Clark, if you can please come to the stage. Dr. Howard, you're right. Sorry. Yes, Dr. Darrell, see, I know. We won't talk about his number. We'll talk about the brother's number. Dr. Howard, on behalf of the Pennsylvania Black Conference on Higher Education and the Robert D. Lynch Student Leadership Development Institute, and the individuals that are here in the room, I think you have definitely provided the blueprint and the keys to success for them to take this home with them and to be successful, not only on their college campus, but as they continue in life. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just some closing remarks as we begin the journey.